Go.
All right, this is 9.5. We're talking about statistics. Now, statistics is a whole new genre of math. It's kind of like if you're reading a book. You got fiction and nonfiction and biographies and science fiction. But in math, you have algebra and you have geometry and you have basic math, and then you have statistics. Statistics is when we started studying numbers to make some kind of evaluation or some kind of a prediction. Those of you that are going into the medical field, you're going to study a patient's temperature or their blood counts and then make a prediction as if they're getting better or if they're getting worse. Do we need more medicine or do we need less medicine? If I'm giving a persuasive commercial to you and I'm trying to convince you to use my particular product because my statistics have shown that it will help you do something better. So statistics have become a very, very important part of our everyday life. And so in this class, we're not going heavy into statistics. We just have to do the 3 basic models that statistics are kind of based on. And those are the mean, the median, and the mode. You probably remember these from junior high. That was the first time you were introduced to these ideas. Now, the mean is also called the average, okay? Mean is its fancy name. Average is something we talk about every day. And we've talked about the average ever since we started in this book. And so if you remember, my steps for finding the average is you add them all up, you divide by how many there are, and then your last step is going to be to round it off however they ask you to do it, okay? For example, if I have 40, 30, and 75, if those are the 3 numbers in my sample, I'm going to add those together, and that would give me 145, and then I would divide that by 3, and I would come out to 48.3333, ... Okay? So I have to now decide how am I supposed to give you your answer. If your answer says to round it to the nearest whole, well, remember you would draw your line right there, and the 3 is not big enough, so your answer would be 48. If it says to round it to 1 decimal place or to the tenths, you would draw your line right there. This isn't big enough, so it would come out to be 48.3. The one that gets people confused on the online homework or on your book is when it says to round it to 1 more decimal place than the problems that were given. So if you look at the numbers that were given, they didn't have any decimal places. So 1 more decimal place would actually be 1, and so you would round it to 1 decimal place. So please remember, if it says 1 more place, you look at the numbers that were in the beginning and you say, well, how many decimal places did they have? I'm going to go 1 more over and round it off. Otherwise, round it off to the nearest whole number or whatever the problem says. Okay? So, mean, average, add them up, divide by how many there are, boom, you've got the average. Okay? The second thing that we have to talk about is median. And the median's nickname is kind of like the middle. Okay, so median means, well, okay, if I look at all of your grades, what did you make in the middle of those grades? In order to find the median, you only have 2 steps, but they're 2 very important steps. The first step is you have to put them in order, okay? That's really important. You have to put the numbers in order. Once you get them in order, you want to find the exact middle, okay? So if I take my same set of numbers, 40, 30, and 75, if I want to put them in order, okay, now I've got them in order, my exact middle would be right there, and so 40 is my median. Now, please notice you can go from the smallest number to the biggest, or if you went from the biggest to the smallest, guess what? You still get 40 for the middle, okay? So it doesn't matter if you go big to little or little to big. You just have to put the numbers in order. Now, why did I say find the exact middle? Well, if you have an odd number of numbers, it's pretty easy to find exactly what's in the middle. But if you have an even number of numbers, okay, something like this, notice that they're in order, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, and 7. but the middle is right there. Okay, so I don't have one particular number in the middle. So what I have to do is add these together and divide by 2. So 4 plus 5 would be 9, and 9 divided by 2 would be 4.5. And so 4.5 is my median, okay? So an odd number of numbers, you just find the exact guy in the middle. If there's an even number of numbers, then you have to find the 2 that are kind of in the middle, add them together, and divide by 2. Now, whenever you're finding the median, you will never round your answer off, okay? Never round it. What you get in the middle, whether it's the one number or what you get after you divide by 2, is always going to be the median. Don't ever round that one off, okay? Then the third one is the mode, okay? Some people call that the most. I think a better nickname is more than. So what it is when you're doing a mode, it's kind of like if you were doing an election. Who would win the election? Who was listed more times than the other, okay? Sounds easy, but sometimes this one becomes the most difficult. You could have one number that was listed more than the others. You could have several numbers that are considered to be the mode. Or you can have no mode at all, okay? So you have 3 kind of possibilities. Let me give you an example of each. One like this. If I have 70, 70, and 40, well, which number is listed more than the others? What's the 70? So 70 is my mode, okay? Okay. If I have 7, 4, 3, 4, 7, and 2, I want to know which is my mode. Well, let's see, I've got 2 7s, and I have 2 4s, but I only have 1 3 and 1 2. So 4 and 7 would be listed as my modes because both of those are listed the same number of times. No mode would be something like this. Okay, if I had 7 4 7 4 7 4. Well, if you look at it, you've got 3 7s and you have 3 4s. Well, nobody's listed more than the others. They're all listed the same amount of times, so they're said to be no mode, okay? One way that my junior high kids used to understand, it's kind of like an election. One election would be that the 70 would win. He had been voted on more than the others. He wins hands down, okay? Several answers would be if I could eliminate some of the people and have a runoff between the 7 and the 4 in this example because they were both listed the same number of times, but not more than the others, okay? No mode would be I had to throw the whole election out and start all over again because everybody had the same number of votes, okay? So, mean, median, and mode are statistical measurements that you need to be able to do, and if you have any further questions on it, please don't hesitate to give me a call.